Hello and welcome. My name is Elisa. I'm your host, and this one is Half Wise, a podcast on the choices that shaped us. Together with me today, there is Maggie. Welcome, Maggie.
Thank you, Ellie.
So today we will speak a little bit about you, your journey, and where you are right now, and a little bit your half wise moments. So where everything started. Who is Maggie? Who are you?
Yeah, thank you, Ellie. Yeah, big question, right? How to unpack it? And who am I? I think it's depending on when you ask me this question, which time of the year, which time of my life, etc. But I guess every year becomes simpler and simpler. I'm just me and trying to uncover who it actually means. And nowadays, I call myself a Maggie, a woman who is on her path to become more true to herself and to feel good in herself, in her own body, and then spreading the mission with my clients, with my business, how to use the body as a movement, as a vehicle to be more at peace inside of us. And that's basically who I am nowadays.
But were you always in this way, or like?
Oh yes, totally not, right? So
Totally not. Otherwise, what we're here.
Yes. No, so well, yeah. So coming back to the past. I'm originally from Poland, and that's where I was raised. And until I think one of the half-wise decisions I had made was after my high school, the plan was always to stay in Poland, maybe move to a different city and to continue studies elsewhere, but in Poland, until I had a very spontaneous trip with my friends, still in Poland, but was a kind of a graduation party, and we met some people from Holland, some Dutch guys over there, and nothing continued with them. But in the end, coming back to the story, was that that ignited as kind of a seed in myself was
a
curiosity, and also like, why do I have to stay in Poland? Maybe I don't have to. Like, who said so, right? I think there's this dialogue started to come with me, saying, who says something to me, or why is the kind of voice,
or maybe like why I'm doing something, what from the voice that I'm hearing is my voice or not.
Yes. And do I listen to that voice, or do I listen to someone else's voice? And that moment, somehow the voice said, hey, why not Holland, right? Like, why not? Why Poland? And so I came back from the trip with my friends. I came back home and I told my parents, guys, I've changed my mind. And then, of course, we couldn't describe their faces. I still cherish and very much feel grateful that they just went for it and with me, fully supporting me, etc. They sometimes look back and they say they regret the decision to let me go. Not per se as a regret that you should have stayed, but they didn't know the scope of the consequences also for them as parents.
Are you only child?
No, but I'm the younger daughter of her, right? So the girl and the younger, that they just felt like she's the last one to leave the nest, and also so far away, right, geographically.
I understand.
And back then, I think the half-wise decision was, I just go for it. I just listen and follow my voice, without thinking of the consequences. And they're not really like super big and drastic, but like being away in a different country, completely taken out from the roots to a different city, also Amsterdam, very big and very vibrant, etc. So basically, when I look back at it, it was a bold decision, half-wise, but actually I think I needed it to get out of the system I was brought up with and in terms of values, way of doing things, and
so to create kind of a breaking point,
I think
something new to sprout.
Yes, exactly. I think beautifully said, indeed. To kind of reset the sprouts and put them in a different soil, so to speak, right? If you follow this metaphor, and to do it on my own terms. I was very much an obedient, pleasing daughter, and I think the relationship had been very nice, but also very intense, and sometimes not super healthy in terms of me as a person, as a autonomous being. So actually me intuitively wanting to get out, I think was a kind of a cry and a scream for, I need to get out in order to find myself again.
How it was like, because as you describe it, you've been in a very like a certain way, like in a container, right? You were in your own container, in your own structure. how it was to be somewhere totally different, but also to start to hear your inner self, if you wish, in a totally different context, or maybe like start to hear your inner self for the very first time. How it was, how played in that.
Yes, it was a tough, tough journey full of hiccups, I would say. Also because it's a youth time, so in the 20s, where we soak everything in and up into our system, believing many people telling us promises and wonderlands, etc.
Showing us way of life that should end up in a certain way.
Exactly. This, of course, also sense of belonging, right? Still trying to grow up, but you're still a child, in the 20s, etc. So the voice was still very quiet, and I think very, very overshadowed by expectations of being a cool girl, or having friends in the university, and doing what you are supposed to do in the study.
So still playing a part.
Still playing a part, big one, right? So at least the parental part and the background from the so-called legacy or the heritage was not there, but then there was still the fitting in part was very strong. Also because I still didn't know who I was. I knew that I didn't want to be that person when I was there, but I still don't know what's else there in the picture.
You didn't know still who was Maggie.
No,
right?
no, definitely. I was still playing around of following the crowd, and then I already felt like I'm a little bit of an outcast in terms of I studied business and economics. I love the subjects, but all my friends wanted to aspire to be bankers, traders, and all the suit-looking people in fancy trading, high sky rises places. And I already knew at least that was a very strong voice inside of me, that I'm happy it was there. I'm not going to be that person. It's just not me. So it already automatically made me a bit different from the rest of my schoolmates.
I think also you had probably a little bit, some internal conflict because of that, because I studied business too, so I know like the kind of environment you are in when you're in business school. Also, like if you think about internship and the place that you get, indeed, place, no, when you do internships, is corporate life or like investment banking, more like the outlook that you're describing, right? You know, the office proper type of outlook. And also for me it was similar. I never felt that, even if I walked that life, I never felt like full sense of belonging, but I always had this internal conflict by, okay, this is what I should be liking according to and this is the person I am. So how was for you similar? And if yes, like how it played for you, was a point that was indeed another rupture point for you, or was more gradually growing into a different, if you want, like profession, or how it went for you?
When I look back right now, I think I found this kind of a comfort zone of finding ways to belong to those people while still keeping myself in integrity. So not aspiring to indeed to look for banking jobs or internships or subjects. I was still looking for the softer subjects or courses.
Like human resources.
Or sociological part, or the psychology of business or economics. So in the end, I was always a little bit leaning back there. And then somehow I was kind of following that path until actually I had one full semester free to do anything, and then which I chose just to go and travel and study elsewhere. And then I was so happy because all my friends had to do accounting and all the stuff that
hard numbers
and repetitive numbers. I don't know, all the stereotypes in my head. I mean, in the end, I do accounting myself anyhow, right? So
yes.
Sooner or later,
the magnitude is a little bit different.
Exactly, right? So I'm happy I covered it, so I'm not afraid of it, and then to do it for myself. But then I could basically explore everything. And then I went into economics of developing countries and development studies. Beautiful. So there was a bit of more of a, how can I follow a bit more my heart, my bit of idealism and activism inside of me, while still having the economics part of me, which I never wanted to completely debunk, because I still enjoyed the sense of it. I think
it's really an important study. I realize it more and more because, of course, for me, it was more like I study first economics and then business for subsequent, like in terms of for the more for a job market. So my love was initial for the theoretical part, right, what you were saying. But eventually, what was really interesting when I transitioned into the life that I'm doing now, I realized how important it is for everyone that enters, his own business or start some kind of venture to have a clear or at least basic fundamentals of economics, call it, like understand a little bit the market, or having like a business understanding, which you say the accounting, have some education in that, because I see so many people that struggle.
Yes.
Yeah. So indeed, what you say, not to the bank and completely like say, oh, no, I don't want to look at that side. But now it's like I'm seeing the benefit of actually that kind of education.
Totally.
And to have it.
Yes. Yeah. Same. I see everywhere, and actually, I'm happy to help everyone whenever they they come to me, because not that I'm an expert, but indeed having the base of how money is generated and how much of the money, like simply is that it's actually gone to the tax system, for example. It's already a big base, right?
But also about you are your own manager, if you wish, because you are an entrepreneur. So we are our own managers. Try to be the best manager we can.
Yes.
Own CEOs. But also there's one how much can help you into also having the education that a business goes through phases, or like it's not always up, there is always a down, and how can protect you in terms of a lot of other triggers as a as you say, as your own CEO.
Yeah, beautifully said. Yeah. And then the concept of investment overall, like how much you put in, metaphorically, financially, emotionally, everything. That's how much you get back, and hopefully the ROI, right, the return on investment will be there, right? But indeed, there is this balancing dance, right, that it has to be through the entrepreneurship, and indeed, and the concept of economics, they can be applied in many spheres of life in the end.
So you were there, you go for your semester out.
Yes, I went to Singapore. Oh, so, wow. I changed the scene. And
how was that?
It was beautiful, simply because it was, again, a change of scene. So from European settings and still kind of comfortable, right? Very similar to Poland, Holland, etc. Singapore was a nice way because it was still kind of a little bit westernized, but
compared to the
exactly. So I've been as well, but I thought, no, if I want to live for half a year, I want to live somewhere that that's relatively okay, and it's a perfect hub to just hop around and travel in between. So I loved it. I love the fact to see how different education system, how we work, and how it's set up, how Singapore operates, the beautiful concept of between there's a safety and security because people are very safe. The government keeps you very safe and secure, but there's also a price to it. Now, freedom of speech, and overall the
heavy control.
Exactly.
It's fully thing is like every meter you have a
camera and a garbage bin. Chewing gums are like penalized, like they're not able to be integrated to a bot.
I remember when I was in Singapore, my driver said me like, you cannot just lay on the grass and just be there, because I was walking around and it was like, no, you cannot just be here. There are specific places where you can go and have picnic or eventually lay on the grass. Like otherwise police will come to you. It's like either you get a fine or just to keep everything
in order. And I think it was a beautiful learning for me, like what's more important to me, right? The security, the stability, the safety, so to speak, or the sense of freedom and autonomy. And I think there's a very two strong values and important ones. But I think having felt and tasted the freedom and the autonomy that I didn't have for a very long time back in my childhood, I was simply hungry for it. So it was very present and very prominent that autonomy and freedom is something that I'm going to be striving for entire life, as one of my big values. And so Singapore also gave me a nice, beautiful reminder, kind of a refresher of my values, that freedom I'm going to be cherishing as one of my pillars. Because it was very annoying not to be free there.
But also you can see like an experience of, again, bringing yourself, if you wish, like to raise a mirror again and say, okay, maybe I forgot how much I am like really thirsty for freedom. And I say, okay, I'm in a place, an amazing experience, but this is really something. And how this one translate when you were back? Because now you had this experience and say, okay, freedom is my pillar, if you wish, is my the say the non-negotiable aspect that I want to keep in my life, and how it played when you came back. Yes, probably you were finishing your university.
Yes, even though I was still about to continue my master's, and that was, I think, a clash as well with my parents, because I wanted to have a break or a gap, right? Back in the days, right? The student gap or a gap year.
It's like a cultural clash. I don't know Poland, but Italians, like if I say to my parents I want to have like a year gap, it's a gap.
Yeah. So of course it was a big explosion. Like, what are you talking about?
What is this gap?
Yes, and and I think there was a big clash of me versus old me versus new me. Okay, how do I stand up for myself versus how do I still keep things in place in terms of harmony? Because I think back in the days, being the obedient one and the pleaser, and being very afraid of conflicts because I was just keeping everything in family intact. How to still speak up without having a big conflict in place.
Also without forgetting the context that they're still living in, right? Because contextualize also their environment.
Yeah. And of course, and what kind of lens they are looking at world through. And I think for them was indeed like, you don't do a gap year. You basically, if you stop, you stop. And we don't want you to stop because you need to have a master's degree, right? I think it's also one of those beliefs. And so there was a bit of a challenging moments because I really wanted to just explore the world, or at least experience the world, work. However, we went into the compromise and I said, okay, I'm going to continue studies, but I'm going to now completely choose really what I want in terms of degree and the course. And so they were like, okay, whatever, what I just study. I'm like, okay, oh my God, so it's ridiculous. But at least I went for what I loved and what I wanted. So I did human geography. So basically the sense of space when it comes to people. So think of migrations, think of urban problems, city problems, etc. So I could still definitely apply the economics part of it.
Yeah.
And then look into the space basically, and look into how people move as a group, right, as a society, as countries, and what are the challenges around it. And so it was actually a nice triumph in the end that actually I studied what I really enjoyed, and my parents were happy. So I think it was a win-win situation. Right? Yes,
I always strike.
Yeah.
But one thing that I keep coming back I keep hearing that comes back and everything is always about choosing yourself. You kept at the beginning you were kind of mediating, but the underlining message was like, I want to choose myself. So and I see that is something that it comes back in your story, the attempt to choose yourself till the point that it becomes very vivid, very clear that is what you are doing.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you say attempt, because I think it takes attempts.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
and it still is.
We have to learn how to choose ourselves. Sometimes we have the feeling we are doing it, but we are finding some kind of, I don't know, in between compromise that feels a little bit more than the last time, but still is not there,
So this, and like how to distinguish what I need and what I want, or what I'm told, what I'm supposed to be wanting, right? So it's, I'm not there yet. It's, I think, indeed, the attempts keep on coming, and then some of the challenges are, bigger than the other ones. And but I think indeed, because I was very much suppressed for a very long time, back in the childhood, when I look back, as the needs were not really mine to be fulfilled. It was just me to follow a specific path, to be a good daughter. And I think that choosing myself had been indeed the integrity, the freedom had been the biggest values that actually surfaced more and more during my life. And for big decisions, for small decisions. And indeed, I think it's what you're saying, that attempts and then the voice. How can I distinguish that it's actually my voice or someone else's? And and how do you practice that, right? When the challenges are bigger, smaller, I think, smaller challenges you can figure out, the bigger ones, where there's actually a lot at stake, it's still
so in general, bigger challenges are more we get more confronted with ourselves.
Yes,
totally. So these self-limiting beliefs that are in the background playing, that maybe with just this music that was very far away suddenly becomes louder, and then is still there.
Yes.
It's still there. Like how I can deal and how I can like write a new script or a new music we're talking, a new symphony for myself, you know? So, and one thing that we were speaking about in, I think was, it's coming also a little bit now, is like small challenge, bigger challenging, success stories that frequently we always see these huge challenges in news and huge comebacks or overcoming. And we spoke about attempts, we spoke about little changes, while in the reality of fact, I think most of us experience progressive adaptation that leads maybe to bigger challenges, but eventually I start from something more subtle.
Yeah.
How it was for you?
Yes, yeah. I think more and more I see indeed that we are drawn into those big dopamine success stories that are just black and white, and they just look so sexy from the outside, and then from rags to riches, etc. And then you compare yourself to those stories, and like, I'm nowhere there, so how can I be successful, right? And I think I'm getting more and more annoyed when I see it, because I also get into that trap that if I'm not from the zero to hero stories, that maybe I didn't have a worst childhood of my life, and now I'm gonna be the best therapist of, I don't know, for children ever, that I cannot have a success for myself. And I think that was one of the beliefs I had to, and I wanted to like kind of debunk for myself is, for me, the success, I think, will mean something different and will mean something less fireworky, less glittery or sugar-coated. It basically means finding what you said, the progressive small steps that keep me aligned on my path, right? And then you can call it very spiritual, you can call it very big, but in the end, how can I choose myself every day? And I think the recent big moment was when I started working last year for a company. I love to work there, etc. And then there was a moment I had to stop and just see, okay, external circumstances tell me to stop. What do I do now with this, right? Because now the path is unknown. The path in front of me.
Territory.
Exactly, right? I just have a big horizon and now I'm in charge. And that was a moment like, oh shit, I'm in charge. It's amazing, but like, what does it fucking mean? Where do I turn? Yeah.
It's very beautiful you say this, because I have the feeling people that approach start to, being your own CEO, as you say, like being self-employed. It's like, fantastic. I want to be self-employed because I want to, essentially be my own manager. And then when you're there, it's like, okay, wait, how this one works. Or simply, for me, it was like, I want to have a better balance and also have more free time. And then especially at the beginning, because I was coming from a very high demanding job, I end up to really copy paste the same logic. So I went in to be my own boss, if you wish, or my own manager, my own CEO, because I want to have a little bit more balance. And since now I had all the day and working from home, I think also from you, like a big part is working from home. Eventually, I made my day even worse than what it was almost.
Yeah.
Because I learned that a productive day is a day with this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25, I don't know. And so how it was for you, like to say, okay, you were coming from a very demanding period of your life, a lot of work, intensive period, and then you decide, okay, everything is calling me. I'm hearing, I'm listening, I'm responding with, okay, I'm up. And then what happened?
Then what happened? I think the one thing just happened just before, just to also to clarify, is that I had the time of rest, because with that noise of the exhaustion of the previous work, I could not make any decisions, right? What do I do next, right? So I think for me, it's also repeating a lesson for myself. I don't rush to go again somewhere next, right? So the next step, I just take a step back. That was actually a beautiful time. It was summer, so lovely time to just enjoy life and to kind of calm down the nervous system from a very intense period, also stressful, very emotional, and how to also just say bye and grieve a period of my life from that part of myself working for that company, for those people. And then calming down the system, clearing out the noise, and then the path arose indeed to decide to work for myself. And indeed, the first thing was indeed, I need to work 9 to 5 every day because otherwise I'm not gonna make it, right? And then
I'm not good enough. I'm not productive.
I'm not good enough, and I need to work even more then because now I'm supposed to build that company, right? I have to make it work, and I have to sweat, right? And all those things that indeed I was copy pasting what you said, because indeed years of training of working for someone, and I think the biggest part is actually still in me is the so-called asking for approval in a way, because when I was delivering a project, right, there was something that you spar with, right, your manager, your stakeholders, etc. And then here I'm the creator of anything, right, like my coaching clients, my personal training projects, etc., and my special events. And then in the end, I just do it because I want to, or like I can choose a date, I can choose a time, right, and everything. Yes. But there was still some kind of a imaginary ceiling saying, but if someone says yes or no to those things, and that was a big one I had to crash last year, that I can just
I think it's very nice what you are saying, because what sometimes I also see with my clients for coaching, that if you're used to work in a company, you get the external reward. Mm-hmm. You get your manager say you did a good job, work on this, and now you are your own manager, so you are an external reward, or the fact that you sell something. Yes. That essentially somebody is out there buying it. And if these things don't happen, for example, buying, you start to question a lot. Or if something happens, you start to you start to be your own manager in the sense of feedback. And we know that one of the struggle that a lot of people have, that sometimes we are not our best friends, right? Yeah. So also in relationship, when we have this inner chatter that, I don't know what went wrong in the programming of human beings, but essentially we tend to be our cheerleader. We tend to be like our detractor, if you wish, people that kind of. So I also with my clients, sometimes I know this, especially if they have their own company, that there is a lot of work also to realize that sometimes project might simply not work because it's not the right time. Maybe it will work. Maybe it's not even the right place, right? So, and to be like way more kind and tolerant. Yes. With ourselves when we work for ourselves, and also to be quick to understand, like, okay, I don't have to be so attached to this. I can change. I can pivot somewhere else if I see that fit my plan better. Going back to the metaphor of the plants.
Yes, love it.
What I really like that you said before is like you had to grieve a part of yourself when you change your career. And I think very few people speak about that. And it's really true.
It's really true, really. Like it's what, relationships, of course, I think is a more now topic, right? You grieve your relationship when you end it, etc. But I think for work is a big part of your daily life and your relationship, right?
Like,
and your identity.
Identity, 100%. It's like you have to grieve that person that you knew. Yeah. Now you have to say goodbye to that person.
Yeah. There's someone who, enjoyed being on the stage because I love to do it. I was, managing departments and everything.
100%.
So all the ego filling things, were just there.
And
the status.
It comes with the
status and this, the I don't know, the fancy projects and everything. And then and then was just stopping, right? It was ending. And so the reward, and I think the sense of, again, belonging, and now being, again, starting from scratch, a solo, right? And I think it's also a journey, right? Because I think when you just move from one work to another work, you just basically change as ecosystem, but more or less the same rules, right? In some way, the worlds are changing way more, right? Drastically, like different planets, right? You are a solo entrepreneur. Maybe you have things already sorted out a little bit, but now you are your captain and you are your own ship all together, right? So you're just steering your own army on your own, basically, and without someone telling you feedback, right? Yes or no. Without telling you we go this or we go there, and you see big, ocean of water, and then you just keep on steering, and it happens relatively fast because I'm grieving and I already know that my voice is telling me, hey, it's the right time. Like, why not when,
Exactly.
And speaking of, risk or anything, I think it was a very calculated risk. Like, okay, I have nothing.
Of course. It's
I had nothing really to lose so much. Like, there was a nice moment, and with time to grieve, time to process, integrate, and you really feel like, okay, now I'm rested. Let's just dive and set my sail on that water. But yeah, basically the journey then continued from then on.
And how is the journey going so far?
Yes, we talked about it the other time that I think you have some honeymoon periods where it's just amazing, fresh energy, first new accomplishments or achievements, right? I think they are definitely needed and useful, right? Especially to give you that boost, like, hey, you're on the right path. Then of course you notice or you realize what you mentioned, that it doesn't always go up in a linear way. So that's of course I think one of the process and the experience to tell me, okay, enjoy the ups, but also embrace and also enjoy the downs, because they are part of it, right? And indeed, I'm still finding the balance, not to be always productive, and then just to redefine what actually means to be productive, in my sense of it, and that actually I want to work less, but I still want to feel that I'm giving impact, right? And I nourish myself for it, because that was, I think, one of the reasons why I wanted to work on my own. Is I want to feel that I'm helping people, supporting people in their journey, either physically in their bodies or in their minds, and but I don't have to do it 12 hours a day without completely destroying myself in the process as well.
Yeah, I think because there is a little bit of the fairy tale with people that work with people, either if you're a coach or if you're a trainer, both. You're doing your passion, so it should be good. You should be something that sometimes I really clash myself, because I do similar. And you're doing something you like, you should be like the most joyful person. I say, yeah, but it's still like physical demanding. It's still work for me. So independently that, and I have to constantly show up, even if my day was not good. What if it was my hobby? I will show up just when I feel like it, right? And I think it's a very privileged place to be, because we have the opportunity also to support people that maybe are walking now in the same shoes we were walking before, so to recognize the signs. But at the same time, it's like it requires a lot of dedication that goes beyond just to be there. It's just there is a lot of prep work, there is a lot of studying that go in, and the final result is just the distillation of all these ingredients. And so that's so now I say, like, how long that you are into your business, and what exactly is turning, I say, like, all this information, all this life story, how is influencing your business, and what are you first like sharing with your clients, if you wish, but also what are you seeing in your clients nowadays?
Thank you. Beautiful questions. What you mentioned, it was actually nice also to say that having a hobby and having a business, right? And that was my hobby for many years. I was teaching and being a coach on the side for many years, but as a side, right? It was nice, because in the end, it was just a couple of hours here and there. It helped me, of course, grow my expertise, my experience, my skills, and my confidence. But of course, it was a different thing, right? It was just kind of something on the side while I was working for someone else. And then since last year, and mostly this year specifically, I wanted to turn it as my full-time job. And what I see and what I experience is, I think that the topic of choosing yourself, and I call it in my programs, is refinding your inner and outer strength. In a sense that I just so much wish that, especially women, because, I can relate more, with the challenges that we have as women. I'm not discriminating, but somehow women find me more. Is how can we re-see each other or ourselves through movements, through coaching, through conversations, reflection, to find that strength back, because we didn't lose it. It's just still there. It's just a way for me to help, to support and guide the person to rediscover it. And then very often I do it through movement. Strength training is a great one, because the moment you feel strong and you feel your
it's empowerment.
Yes, literally your muscles growing and getting stronger. It gives you such a big different, boost to your body and to your mind.
It's funny that you say this because like there was a period, I think in the last year, there was a lot on social for women to become strong. And now there is a switch again. And it's like to shrink again, right? To
become very lean and thin.
Thin and fragile. And because then, I don't know, I grew up even like with the logic like in India, like you have to be like tiny, teeny because guys don't like big,
bulky girls.
Someone is like, it's not bulky, it's like the fact that you have strength means that you are able to support yourself, that you are picking up yourself, right? And it's empowering. The sensation is like, maybe it makes you feel more comfortable in your own skin. That's and what you say, like your inner strength, your own skin, be like, okay, I can take charge of my decision. I can be on charge.
I can show up for myself. I can choose myself.
Exactly.
Forward, back. And again, and then indeed supporting women with this. It doesn't have to be, a huge revolution in your life. You don't have to, put your house on fire and put it upside down. But indeed, small decisions, how to really reclaim that inner self of you. And then movement is a nice way to do it because you literally physically and physiologically feel better afterwards. So then
it's like there are so many like books like psychology books that say like we got, especially in modern society, we start to get disconnected. So we think our body and our mind are too disconnected. They say are two different planets, right? So especially we become very logical thinker and body. Okay, the brain is in the body, but they are two different things. No, we have to be brilliant, but body is there. And instead, like through movement, there is this subtle. It's almost like dimension that we enter in where the things start to click. It's like through yoga is always like this kind of finding things within yourself that were there you didn't know that they were lost. And it's simply because you give yourself the space and the time to reconnect dots like they are supposed to be in principle, because we forget as a human that we are animal first, right? So we tend to be that we are better because we have a consciousness, but eventually our physical body and everything, we are wild. We are mammals. We are mammals, right? So this is the point. So we coming back to the body can enhance our own experience as humans. So I love because your company is also like House of Movement.
Yes, correct.
It's beautiful. No? It's like I feel it's almost like a place you want to go.
Thank you. Yes.
And it's like there is a party happening at House of Movement. I'm down for it.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I think it was the whole idea indeed. How it is to house yourself inside of you, but also in the space that you create. And basically, house can mean many things, right? And then a movement, indeed, because you don't have to be this, gym fit girl that, goes every day to do HIIT classes and dies out of, exhaustion.
But also, who knows if you will be there? It's like if you never start, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. But I think movement is movement, right? So you don't have to be a workout. You don't have to now do a triathlon and everything. It's just more indeed like how can we bring more movement into the life or to the body? Because body nature needs movement, right? Needs energy, right?
Yes.
And then that's what we also work with my clients. Is like usually women are stuck, either between the jobs or maybe they are just wanting to go back to work after having a baby or maybe after burnout, etc. So then they are in a very stagnant energy, physically and mentally. And then how can we open up those closed compartments because they just were probably in this state to endure that challenging period perhaps, and how can we use the movement, subtle, gentle, maybe strong, explosive, to indeed a little bit shake up that energy to start looking through different lenses to make another step.
I'm when you say like most of my clients are women, I think what you just said, women, because also, for example, just for the simple fact that they can, generate life, they have this more, they get through different stages. Also menopause, for example, men, they have andropause, but the sign are a little bit more subtle.
Lucky them. Yes.
Lucky them. It's like it's more progressive and it's not that suddenly like lights out or something like this. No? So there is an inner and kind of an inner questioning that is always lingering, right? Because nature is way more manifested into the women body. So there is this constant search and questioning, so that creates more opening for such experiences like the one that you provide, to connect with the movement, to connect with the coaching, to be more inquisitive, if you wish, about what I can do, what is in there for me, how I can improve my experience.
How can I choose myself, and how can I be myself as a friend, right? Or just about the self-talk, that how can we nourish more supportive thoughts into our bodies, right? And how can we be a little bit more important to ourselves, especially when we juggle so many balls, right, during every day.
I'm reading this book now. I'm almost done. It's from Bell Hooks. It's called Communion, and it speaks really about this, about the role of women in society as well, like how we learn how to love others, and maybe like the relationship with the self, and also this sense of giving care, because it's a little bit the stereotypical image of the woman, that has to be the care provider for kids, for husband, for parents, and so on. But then it appears that one person is missing, and is herself. How to learn how to give care and attention to the self. So is really, I think, very important, and I can see, like, through your own choosing, right? Because you also forgot, or maybe you didn't learn how to give care to yourself.
I didn't, right? And I think it's a couple of times that you just hit a wall, or you crash at the crossing or at the dead end street, and then there is no way back. And I think those big moments for that, right, is either you keep on repeating your mistake or your lesson learned until you learn it, and then like, oh, maybe there's another way to do it, right? And then rechanging and rewriting the pattern, that I can't, fill a cup of tea from an empty cup, right, to someone else, for example, right? Or I'll be more resentful, I'll be more aggressive, I'll be more angry, because my system will be just pleading for going inward and taking care of myself instead of just being for others. Because I think once someone told me, like, no one's gonna take care of you, you have to take care of yourself at the end of the day. So
I think it's pretty true, right?
Even if, because you can have loving family, etc., but in the end, it's you that you have to count on yourself, right? And
eventually you will be like the one living the consequences of it, right? So it's good to have a good system in place also for yourself, I guess.
Yes, totally. Of course, given the circumstances, nothing is perfect and ideal, but indeed, how can we practice that muscle? I love this metaphor, like mind is a muscle, patterns are the muscles, habits are the muscles. So how can we, do those workouts where it nourishes us, right? So we can rewire and reprogram our, supportive ways of helping ourselves to be more important to ourselves.
How this one, translates also with your clients? What are you seeing are the most common underlining things that come back in your work?
Well, first of all, what we already mentioned, that when a woman feels she's getting stronger, and we increase the weights, like very simple, personal training, we increase the weights consecutively and gradually, and then we see, like, we look back, like, see where you started from, and now where you are. So now when you go to the studio, don't pick up those tiny weights, go for the heavier ones. And then, so that the light on their face, like, oh my God, I've already come so far, and that enlightens her already, not only on the mat together, but then that energy, the confidence, I think goes and spills over to different spheres of life, and indeed cherishing and looking back, right? Because then in the end, she might feel weak that day, but she's already so much stronger than her old self a month ago.
Yes, we have this, I don't know, it's like sometimes I have the feeling we have a very selective memory.
Yes.
That is always there to remind us the time that we, miss or, misstep somewhere. But say, look, if you compare to yourself of 6 months, a year ago, is like what you perceive like a misstep was not possible then. It is already a huge step.
Yes, exactly. And I think in the moment it's hard to think of, but then indeed, let's be our cheerleaders, right? Which talk about the self-talk, and how can we indeed bring the moments like, hey, don't give up now, because in 6 months you will be so proud that today you showed up again.
Yeah.
So from the strength point of view, that's what I see very often, and from the mind, heart, soul point of view, is indeed allowing to step back, allowing to take space. And when we just talk simply, because women usually, or no, especially mothers, they're just so busy with everything, having a moment just to be and to be seen. The guilt, of course, first comes, like, oh my God, who am I to take space? And who am I to, it sounds silly, or I don't want to share this, or I feel awkward. And then now just stripping it off, and then, hey, no, here's a moment for you. And we don't have to put the masks here. So here what I see a beautiful way of reclaiming yourself, because through that time that we have, an hour or so, we don't stop at the first level of answers, right? Because usually say, how are you? I'm good, and you continue with your life. Here we go, hey, what are the 5 layers of a question, right? So peeling that onion off, right? Layer by layer, she can finally hear herself. And I think that's what I probably would wish myself back in the days. How can I allow that voice to tell me what's actually really me, not everyone else's voice around me?
Yeah. It's always so nice because like what you say is that the progress, that's why I love to teach like inversions, handstanding, and arm balancing, is because it's not for the shape itself. You see people first, they start to gain strength. And I always like to say, like, imagine when you were 5 years old, you had no fear, you will do it just for the fun of it. So you start to get the element of playfulness that eventually with age, with work, with responsibility, we forget. And the thing that is very nice also, and that was for me, for example, that's why I like to teach it, because I like to reconnect with that element that I lost very quickly, the playfulness element. And it's funny, like when you start to take this very, very like bigger than life decision to completely steer your life somewhere else, come so much from yourself. But you say, like, to be seen. If you had that person in your life, I see a lot of times like people want to be that person that they wish they had in their life.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. My heart is cheering and melting. Yeah.
But yeah, it is, because eventually probably what we see is like if we met somebody like you, in that case, if you met somebody like you, probably will have saved you a lot of heartache.
Yeah, I always kind of call it like, a bit humbly, like I want to be a cheerleader, right? That I want, the cheerleader for myself, but also for people, and then sometimes we just forget indeed, because we just get hung up with all our responsibilities, roles we have to play, and indeed, how can we just find that more joy and more lightness in how we show up for ourselves, and then. And indeed, we can just be a bit less serious and take things a little bit less seriously, And then I think that will already change a little bit the temperature and the load of what we are enduring and going through.
Amazing. So we came towards the end of today, and I always have like a kind of signature question that I ask to everybody. Is like, what does it mean to be half wise for you?
Yeah, half wise for me means, I think the blend of being in some sort of way connected to yourself, like finding your own truth, that raw truth that sometimes maybe doesn't feel comfortable or is not comfortable, and it can be confronting, and with a bit of silliness or naivety, It's just that, that's indeed what you just mentioned before, like, let's just not take the life so seriously, and also decisions sometimes can be hectic, and how can we just enjoy the process of it, the experience of it, that indeed, like, everything is presented, that you just earn something in a second. It just doesn't happen, right? So and like the famous diets, in 3 weeks you lose all your pounds or your kilos, right? Or you get a 6-pack, or you do pull-ups, in a week, etc. No, it doesn't work like this, right? So it's more of being half wise is taking everything with a pinch of salt, especially what we see outside, you know, the external noise and everything, and kind of clearing out, and then just seeing the simpleness that is actually, you know, me, etc. And I love that prayer, and I heard it some time ago, and I love it. Is, you know, the dear God or whoever you believe in, give me serenity to notice and to accept the things I can't change, and then give me the courage to be able to change things that I can, and then give me the wisdom to be able to see the difference and to distinguish what I can or I can't change.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maggie.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I loved it. Thank you so much. It's been beautiful, nourishing, meaningful conversation that also helped me unpack also a couple of things myself.
Thank you so much. So this has been as Wise. So if you find this conversation interesting, or if you want to share it with somebody that is going through the same thing we discussed today, feel free to share today's episode. Thank you so much, and see you on the next one.
Thanks.